connectivity, right? That used to be a very big problem for dealers. Now the connectivity issue is resolved, but you still have that resolution problem, right?
You add in all of the payroll tax and benefits and liability and recruiting and staffing and training and management and all the chaos. It just makes it unrealistic.
And I think the other thing is, let's face it, these guys are busy as shit, if I can say that on here, right?
Yeah, so it's my show.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is L.A. Williams, Vice President with Dealer Synergy and the co-creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. And man, I'm telling y'all, I am excited. We're having a phenomenal day. I got with me my main man, Mr. Sean V. Bradley, CSP, and we're about to have a phenomenal conversation today. Am I telling the truth, Sean, or what?
Brother, listen, and this is SVB, and the place to be is the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, man, and we're getting ready for NADA, not NADA. We're working for NADA. It's going to be epic in Vegas this year. And, you know, that's what I want to talk about is the theme for this show is effectiveness. For the people that don't know what effectiveness is, it's simply being able to get a desired result repeatedly or continuously. And as everybody knows, one of my favorite books is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's not the 7 habits of highly rich people. It's not the 7 habits of highly even successful people, because what Dr. Covey says is that the roots of effectiveness, breed, it grow into everything else: wealth, success, prosperity, etc. Anybody could have a great idea, but LA, what dealers want and need in 2026 and beyond is some continuity, because the world is chaotic. I mean, there's so much going on. Let's start with, I just wrote an article in the Millionaire Car Salesman community in the Facebook group that we are now living in an age that there are no new cars in the United States under $20,000.
I read that, Joe. I was like, wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, because you got to understand something. This changed the whole dynamics with our country, because, you know, back in the day, you know, an entry-level vehicle might have been a Corolla or a Civic or a Sentra, a compact car, subcompact car. But the reality is that the current first car or entry-level vehicle is going to be either pre-owned or certified pre-owned. That's the reality. So the landscape's changed. What else has changed, in my opinion, is artificial intelligence and technology. And what else has changed is it's getting worse: attrition and the lack of human resources. So dealers are finding themselves in a tumultuous situation. They're stressed out, understaffed, secured with appointments, ups, etc. Chaos, LA. So what do you think? How do we untangle this chaos?
Well, first of all, we were so interested because pre-record, we were talking about organized chaos, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about chaos because we do not have a strategy. We don't have a tactic. And on top of that, we're not following the principles of what it takes in order to be effective, right? We gotta learn how to put this stuff in place. And so the conversation we're going to have today is centered around literally taking the chaos, saying, okay, here's what we're dealing with. Let's take it apart layer by layer, little by little, and let's get the desired result that we're looking for. If we know the desired result, right? What is the second habit? Begin with the end result in mind. Let's do that.
Listen, right? I know where he's going. Before he goes to break, I got to say this because I know he's going to do a Scooby-Doo shuffle. Here's what we got to get to. This is what I want to get to when we come back from paying these bills is what are the biggest challenges? There's always challenges. I don't care what all the different challenges. I want to know what the biggest challenges are. Dr. Covey says in the third habit, put first things first, AKA, shout out to Jim Ziegler, be careful of distractions disguised as opportunities. So our special guest, LA is going to mention her, is very special, high level executive with a tremendous amount of experience, tremendous amount of track record, and she's going to help us untangle this mess. LA, should we tell him who's coming in after break, or just wait until we come back?
Listen, I'm just going to give, because you know she's one of those people who just operate off of one name. You ain't even got to have a whole last name, kind of like a Beyonce, right? Speaking of which, she got the same name as one of her former mates, right? But listen, when we come back, we are going to have Kelley in the building. Y'all know Kelley. We'll be right back, y'all. It's the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast.
If you're looking for the absolute best automotive sales training from the #1 millionaire car salesman in the world, Cody Carter, who sold 1,408 units in 2023 and made $1.2 million in personal income, make sure you sign up for Cody's 24/7 video on-demand training, tracking, and testing certification program, Sell Like Cody. That's right, Sell Like Cody is on Bradley On Demand. Cody covers absolutely everything in his successful selling process. If you want to learn how to sell more cars, more often, and more profitably, enroll now at bradleyondemand.com or contact Dealer Synergy today.
Thank you for calling Doing It Wrong Motors. How can I help you?
I was looking at the tan 2023 GMC Terrain. You guys still have that?
Oh, sorry. That vehicle's been sold.
Could this be happening at your dealership? Get the Dealer Synergy team to handle calls the right way. We'll gather all the information, drop it in the CRM, set a solid appointment with notes, so all you have to do is sell. Do yourself a favor and go to dealersynergy.com for a free demo.
And no more of this burning through phone-ups nonsense.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back on the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and y'all know I got Mr. Sean V. Bradley with me. But
What up?
Listen, y'all know I told you I got Kelley in the building. And in case some of y'all don't know, I guess I will give you her last name. I told her it reminds me of Jesse from Full House, the Katsopolis, but she is Kelley Koliopulos. What's going on, Kelley Kels?
Hello, LA and Sean. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Hell yeah. Well, listen, first of all, I don't be co-signing just everybody because there's a lot of fake people in this industry. There's a lot of people that spin vapor, but Kelley is truly proven in the field as a subject matter expert, as an automotive professional, as a colleague. Like, how do high-level people do what they do? They've got to find other high-level people to help sharpen, the blade. Iron sharpens iron. So you guys listen to my show for like 11 seasons. I don't ever put my personal stamp on people, but Kelley is definitely a tremendous, authentic, sincere professional. And she'd not pay me $1, hell, not even a hay penny to say that. That's just straight off the top. So
She's
Kelley,
awesome.
honestly, I'm really honored to have you on the show. All right, yeah. I send my Cash App. Now I'm looking at him. So Kelley, let's get into it, man. I don't know if you heard the intro to the show, but there's a lot of things, as always, that we could do better. How can we do more, be more, and achieve more? But I want to go in a different direction. I want to go from what the preeminent problems are and the preeminent, solutions are. And I want to start by saying this. As per the NADA formula, NADA breaks down a dealership's operations into fixed operations and variable operations. Variable operations is usually like the front end side of things, like the sales, the internet, BDC, F&I, things like that. Whereas the fixed operations are going to be service, parts, aftermarket, things like that. And if I do recall, the NADA formula states that technically 65% of the dealership's revenue should be coming in from fixed operations. And if you're a healthy dealership, 100% of the fixed operations revenue should cover all operating expenses. And theoretically, the variable revenue that comes in should be the net profit of the dealership. So can you first acknowledge if that's a true or false, or am I close fact? And then after that, I want you to tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I think that's most dealers' goal, is to get to 100% absorption, right? So like what you were talking about, where fixed ops is covering all the expenses for the store, sales are the profit margin, yes, for the store. So a little about me, right? So I did start in the retail side. Ironically, my dad was in the business too, but I started in F&I, so on the variable side, and did that for about 10 years. From there, I went into a dealer group marketing side of the business and worked for AMSI for quite a while. Through working at AMSI, obviously, I made some nice relationships and partnerships with some other vendor partners, and then kind of transitioned over to the vendor side. So I think my experience on the vendor side has always been about analytics. So whether it's call analytics or efficiencies around using the data that the dealer has to help improve their processes within the store. Currently, it's primarily focused around fixed op, which I think is a huge opportunity going into 2026, like you said, for dealers.
Well, no, I appreciate that. And I want to talk about in 2026, as we're about to hit NADA, I would feel that in this episode, if you hear anything that resonates with you and you're going to NADA, this should give you a chiropractic alignment on what you should look for at the NADA convention this year. So I'm going to go through, in my opinion, and Kelley would like your opinion on this. I think one of the biggest challenges, and I think more now than ever before, it's people still. It's always been people, whether it is, the attrition, or it was the horrific way that we recruit and staff people, or the fact that we're unprepared and we take a potentially good person and we don't onboard them the right way. We don't have a training program, a personal development, a professional development, a team building program, and we lose them. So I joke around and say, did we hire them dead or kill them after we got them, right? So that's the reality here. But I think that this has been exacerbated tremendously because of the post-pandemic reality. Before the pandemic, we would be very fond of racing to the bottom, giving cars. If you guys remember, like 5-6 years ago, it was like, $100 over invoice, sometimes half a hold back when you have to do, dealer trades, yada, yada. Then all of a sudden there was no inventory. And for the first time ever, we were able to get all the money all the time at list or over list. I mean, I was in the industry for like over a decade and like over 2 decades, pretty much almost 2 decades. And then we had this magical fantasy world of, we could make so much money. So what happened was there was less people. Unfortunately, people passed away with COVID at a macro scale. Partially also, there wasn't as many, cars. And because you could sell less and make sometimes double or triple, you didn't need to flood the floors. You didn't need to turn around and work bell to bells. And on
And you
top of
really
all,
didn't need experienced people. You just needed
yes,
order takers.
yes.
I
But
mean,
now the market is leveling out. We are the closest we've been since pre-pandemic times with inventory. And what happens when there's more inventory than manufacturers? Now we have rebates and incentives. Now there's rebates and incentives. Other dealers are trying to cut each other's throats and race to the bottom. So now we have all these leads, but now there's more competition. There's untrained people and it's chaos. So Kelley, tell me, like, jump in, tag in, and continue my chaotic dissertation of our reality. Tell me what you're seeing across the country.
well, on the fixed op side, right? Well, I think I'm going to back up a little bit. So I think it's interesting, like what the industry's saying, meaning like the OEMs and the manufacturers, parts, whatever the case may be, and the dealers, right? There's the dealers, I think, are cautiously optimistic. The manufacturers are optimistic, right? Because obviously they now have inventory, so for them, it's a good situation to be in. For the dealers, I think um, they've had a little bit of AI fatigue, right? There's been so many AI products out there. I think that they originally thought it was going to be, here's now a way that I can just have this bot or machine take care of my problem, and they are realizing it's not there yet, right? So they still need that human element. They still need that um, management oversight, so to speak. It does make people more efficient, right? It helps you be more efficient with whether it's communication, how you're doing your emails, sounding more professional, whatever the case may be, research, mining your data, things of that nature. I think it's wonderful. Coming from the call tracking analytics side of the business originally, connectivity, right? That used to be a very big problem for dealers. Now the connectivity issue is resolved, but you still have that resolution problem, right? AI can't fix or answer every question. So going back to what you said, you still need that human element, that support of using that tool. The other thing we're seeing, right, is depending on how sales go, consumers, it's an affordability challenge, right? That's taking a lot of the attention to fixed ops, like to your point, right? Now they really want to get that absorption of fixed op to that 100% so they can assure their expenses are going to be covered and they're going to have the profits they're looking for. What we see in fixed ops, and this was interesting because it just came out from Cox for 2025, their market share, so they're retaining that customer base of the customers they sell, is significantly dropping. So if you look at 2018, they retained about 41% of their customers. 2025, 29%. I mean, pretty significant decrease.
Massive.
So when we work with dealers, right, you're going into their database and they have buckets that their customers fall in. They have active customers, they have at-risk customers, depending on how long it's been since they've been into the service department, and then what they consider inactive customers. So right now, that active list is at the top of the triangle, right? Where it gets bigger at the bottom, which is their inactive customers. So, going to what you're saying is, what can we do for that effectiveness and efficiencies is working on a consistent way to communicate to those inactive and at-risk customers to get them to be a transactional customer with them. Because if we keep going down like this, there's going to be some big problems.
No, I want to touch on what you just said. Again, if I'm understanding with the new Cox Automotive study, again, it went from the previous year, 41% retention to, you said 29% retention?
Yeah, 2018. So it's been a couple years, but unfortunately, significantly dropping down every year.
Here's why, on the sales perspective, I need everybody to understand why this is important, because there's two things in business you've got to do. You've got to keep your customers happy and keep them there, or you have to keep replacing them. The idea is both. You want to keep your customers happy and get new opportunities. So you want to grow. There are always going to be some churn or some, defection, loyalty defection or what have you. But the manufacturer state, again, Toyota manufacturer, everybody knows I've been working with Toyota for years now. Toyota says the lost opportunity or lost potential for a customer is over 300 grand. So Kelley, I don't know if you have any data from the OEMs that you work with, because you're with Call Source, right? And you work with nationwide bunch of top dealer groups in the country. And before that, you were at Call Review, and before that, AMSI, and all these other things that you did. From your experience, what would you say the value of a lost opportunity is? Do you believe what the manufacturer says at 300? Do you think it's more? And if so, why?
I do think it's potentially more, and depending on how long you look at it, right? So you figure, I think the average RO right now is anywhere from 450 to like 530 per RO, right? So per customer pay. The other
Wait.
thing,
Let me jump in there too real quick, because I want to add something that I'm pissed. I have a lot of Highline cars, and I'm going to vent right now. I have a Maserati Levante F Tributo, right? I just put it into service for front brakes. Listen to me, front brakes, back brakes, routers, and a scheduled service, $7,500. And what they're saying is because of the tariffs and other, inflation and stuff like that, a lot of service is like 40% more expensive. So what's happening, and I want to add to this craziness, is that things are so expensive for everybody. People are trying to not pay for stuff. They're holding on to vehicles, which is creating, kind of chaos. Anyway, I wanted to just add that. So continue what you're saying, Kelley.
well, to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, right? So two things to think about there. The blind spot, I would call it, that dealers have is they're still making money, right? They're up, I think, like 12% in fixed ops, but they're up because they've raised their labor rate, right? Parts are more expensive, so it's generating a higher dollar, right? Customer pay dollar. But there's going to be a ceiling there, right? Because as you said, consumers are keeping their car longer because they can't afford to buy a new car. I think a starting point for a new car now is like 50 grand, right? And then the other thing is the manufacturer only follows that VIN number from day 1 to day 7. Well, the average customer is keeping their car 12 years. So realistically, the manufacturer is saying, hey, I just had this conversation with a dealer that you and I mutually know, right? They're telling him he is doing a great job with 38% market penetration for service, meaning of the customers he sells in his market, he's retaining 38% of those in service. The average is 29, okay, for the dealerships. But like he said to me, he goes, Kelley, they're only counting from year 1 to 7. What about from 7 to 12, which are my brand? They're in my market that we're not even putting into that equation of 38%. or 29% if you're looking at the national average. So it's kind of a little worse than we think, right?
Yes.
And then to your point, so what our data shows, and even like JD Powers and things like that, is if a customer services with you, your dealership, for 4 years, right? Average customer comes in twice a year, that they're 75% more likely to buy their next vehicle from you. So then that's when you compound that as far as talking about the value of that customer.
And think about what Kelley just said. And I use that number. It's actually, Kelley has a little higher number. Mine was 70, but again, 75, it makes sense because of the evolution. A service customer, someone that services is 75% more likely to actually purchase a vehicle for when they service their car from. A prior customer that doesn't service, just bought a car, is a 65% closing ratio. The reason why I reference these things is that so many dealers don't have the priorities straight because they don't know what to do. And there's such a high level of attrition with GMs, GSMs, fixed ops managers that the strategy is discombobulated. Put first things first. Folks, shout out again to Jim Ziegler. I love his phrase. It's so powerful. Be careful of distractions disguised as opportunities. Why are we chasing 4%, 6%, 12%, 20% opportunities when we have 65% closing ratios prior customers, 75% from service? And if somebody purchases and services from you, it's up to 80% closing ratio. And then, don't get me off my soapbox, there's a whole special category of service customers that have never purchased a vehicle from where they service from. They're called service unsold customers that a lot of dealerships neglect. They don't even market or try. They don't even try to go after people that are in the service department that have never purchased vehicles because they're too busy with the menial or smaller converting things. So I'm like, on the street, this is called hustling backwards. You're hustling backwards. Kelley, would you agree with that or not?
100%. And then, there's so many challenges they have in general, right? So even if you look on the service side, so for every OEM dealership, there's 12 independents right in their back door around them for their customers to choose from, right? So they have to be really good in the dealership as far as like that customer experience, that customer service, like when they're bringing their car in there. And then they have to have a cadence at least and have a consistent process for communicating and touching their customers so they don't defect.
All right. So for the people in the bleachers that just tuned into the episode right here, pretty much we're just kind of giving a current situation analysis. And fixed ops is incredibly important, and having a surgical strategy on what's the most important thing to focus on. So again, if I had an opportunity, I would want to take a big swing at a 65% opportunity like my fixed operations. Now let's talk back into the challenges. Some of the challenges that we have, whether it's variable or fixed operations, is do we have the right people? Do we have the right amount of people? And are they cost effective? And are they working the right schedule? Because let's say we have the right people, the right amount of people. A lot of dealerships down south, they close their stores before 8 p.m., before 7 p.m., sometimes before 6 p.m. I can name a whole bunch of them. It's part of the culture down south for whatever reason. And again, prime time to connect on the phones is between 6 and 8 p.m., but that's when you close your dealership. That's a problem. So what I want to be able to do is I want to take a quick break. I want to pay some of these bills. Go visit us at NADA, booth number 3315W. But that's my little sub commercial. But when we come back, what I want to talk about, Kelley, is what are the challenges that dealers face? Because some dealers know this stuff, but they don't have the right people, the right amount of people, or they're not able to work, the prime hours, or it's not cost effective. So when we come back, LA, take us out to break.
Yeah, and I'm just going to kind of say, just in order to add to that, Sean, it's like on top of that, dealing with the people is we don't know how to work with the people. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to be talking about at NADA is I'm talking about a new era of emotional intelligence. So many times, even if we have the people that we think are the right people, sometimes when they act like they're not the right person, we don't know how to bring them back to being the right people because we don't have that emotional intelligence. So that's part of the conversation. As soon as we get back from these break, man, y'all know it's the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. We'll be right back.
This has been the most in-depth training I've had in my lot of years in the car business.
We went from 60 cars to 156 cars a month in 3 months.
NAMAD, the entire Toyota Chicago region, as well as the top automotive groups like Coons, Lithia, and Norm Reeves have all used Bradley On Demand to train their team.
They're the most comprehensive training company I've seen, and they by far have the best support system.
Doing 50 cars a month, topped out at 80. I can tell you that the Bradley On Demand training will get you to the next level.
And guess what? The world's #1 car salesman, Cody Carter, shares his exclusive strategies right here. You want his secrets? You gotta have Bradley On Demand. If you're still not enrolled in Bradley On Demand, you're missing out on the best virtual automotive training in the world. Enroll now or contact us for a free test drive of the platform today.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It's the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. And just as we went to break, we were talking about the people problem, right? And so, Kelley, I want you to kind of talk to us about, do you agree with Sean's mentality? Or Sean, if you want to kind of frame the question, because I want to get her take on this.
Yeah, so for me, like, we're both subject matter experts. We both have, the top dealers, top dealer groups in the country, both been doing this. I mean, together, I think we have over half a century, almost 60 years or close to 60 years or more 60 years. I don't want to age either one of us, but we got a lot of damn experience on between me and Kelley right here. And I just want to know, from your experience and your network of influence, what are the biggest challenges that dealers have real? I want when people listen, it's like, yeah, that's me. Oh my God, we're doing that. Oh my God, how do you know that? So what do you think are the biggest challenges that dealers have right now?
I mean, some of it is like 101, right? That we know it and we just either accept it or maybe aren't sure how to fix it, right? So connectivity, right? A lot of phone calls coming in. Sometimes they're at peak hours, and either you don't have an internal BDC or potentially an external BDC to help with that volume of calls, especially in service, right? About 45% of the calls for a dealership come in for service calls. And then also, we do have a call center, right? So it's managing the people, right? So do you have the infrastructure, the management in place within your store? You have it too, Sean, right? There's a turnover, there's training, there's a lot of logistics that are involved with that. And, sometimes they're not sure if it's the expense too, right? Is it more expensive to have it internal? Is it more expensive to outsource it? So I think it's just the understanding as well of what's the best situation for your store.
So let's tag team this. I'm going to represent, the sales side of things and the sales BDC side of things, and I want you to handle the service side of things, or the service BDC side of things. So, for example, in my world, predominantly on the sales and variable side is this: the average franchise dealership has about 400 to 500 internet purchase requests between the OEM, third-party providers, and the websites. So let's just say 500. So if I have 500 prospects, even if you think you're selling, 10% of that number, that's 50. Okay. So let's go back. We're about to be in February, right? So let's go January, December, November. So from November, December, and January, we gross 1,500 internet purchase requests, 1,500 leads. Even if we sold 50, 50, 50, that's 150. So I take 150 minus the 1,500, that means that there's 1,350 leads by the end of January that we didn't sell. But some of them might be dead, bogus, crazy, upside down, unqualified, open BKs, whatever it is. So there is a legitimate carryover. We call that residual flow factor. My estimate would be probably 800 to 900. So on a minimum end, I am telling you, if you get 500 fresh internet leads a month, right? On the first day of the beginning of that fourth month, right? You're not starting with 0 leads. In my professional opinion, you're starting with 800. 800 internet purchase requests. Some of them are only a day old, 2, 3, 4, up to 90. So on day one of that new month, you have approximately 800 to 900 active leads that are 90 days or less old. So and that is before you get your 500 fresh. So do the math. That is roughly about 13 to 1,400 opportunities. Let's just say 13. So you're not just trying to sell 500 prospects. You're really dealing with 1,400 opportunities. So now when you think that you don't have enough people for the 500, you really, really, really don't have enough for the 1,400. Then on top of that, how do you, like when you add in the cost, in California, it's $22 per hour. Okay, in New Jersey, where Dealer Synergy is based out of, it's $15.95 per hour. You can't staff a BDC with just a base, because then there's no reason for them to care to make more appointments and get people to show. So you have to have either commissions or bonuses that are performance based. And it prices yourself out of the equation when you have such a high hourly. And then when you add in all of the payroll tax and benefits and liability and recruiting and staffing and training and management and all the chaos, it just makes it unrealistic. So then what dealers do is they try to get their salespeople to do stuff. So folks, before I turn this over to Kelley for her world on fixed, think about this. There's 8 ways that a franchise dealership can sell cars. There's 8 ways that an automotive sales professional can sell cars: walk-in spots, be-backs, internet ups, phone ups, prior customers or orphan owners, service conversions, referrals, and lost auto prospecting. So how are you going to have, if the average dealership as per NADA has 10 salespeople, 2 sales managers, GM, GSM, F&I, all of that crap to sell less than 100 cars? So you want the 10 salespeople to be able to handle 13 of 1,400 internet ups, take fresh ups, handle the phones, do be-backs, do prior customers, orphan owners, service conversions. We want them to do referrals and prospecting. You know what? How about we have them, just make rabbits come out of their hats, have them, I don't know, become rainbows and unicorns and Skittles. And it's just not realistic, Kelley. Am I crazy or what? Like, it's just not realistic.
And usually, unfortunately, what happens, they're going to take somebody that already has a lot on their plate as far as a management role within the dealership and try to push this into another job responsibility for them. So there's not a focused effort with those people and that, that follow-up.
So the answer, in my opinion, is business development. You have a business development center. If you have a team of people that are not stopping to do product presentation, demonstration drive, delivery, you don't have people that are stopping to put plates on the car. You don't have somebody that's going to turn around and go move inventory or shovel snow, or you're not going to have somebody stop and, all the million things that salespeople have got to do, right? If you've got a team of people that have blinders on and from open to close, all they're doing is handling, on the sales side, internet purchase request. They're handling inbound phone ups. They're handling unsold showroom traffic. They're doing data mining, equity mining, lease retention, special finance. They're doing OEM hand raisers. They're doing business development. Kelley, on your side in fixed ops, all the campaigns, what do service BDC reps do?
The challenge when they do it internally, right? And the ones that are doing it internally, I mean, like, good for them, because they're putting forth some sort of effort to try to fix this problem, right? But the challenge is they have inbound, right? So they have a high volume of calls coming in.
Schedule service appointments.
Right. What we see is, there's peak time. So no matter how they staffed it, right? If they were to capture all those calls, then they're going to have them sitting around doing nothing for another 4 hours of the day, right? But the thing is that of those inbound calls, about 58% of those that get missed, it's 24 hours before they get a call back, which we know that's too long, right? And then the other thing is, so you have the inbound challenge of the volume of calls of people calling in to schedule appointments. And then you have the outbound, how am I going to fix the retention of, when we look at these DMS buckets, there could be 10,000 inactive customers in their DMS. And how are they going to get through to them? So they try to do both, so they're not as effective, right? Something's going to falter, I guess, in my opinion. And, we do this for dealers. We do take their inbound calls. We work with AI companies because the resolution on the AI is about 45 to 50% with service. So you still need a person whether it's internal or external, following up with those calls that the AI couldn't resolve, right? Maybe there was warranty questions, maybe there was some complexity in the service that they wanted to schedule. Maybe they just wanted to talk to a human being, right? And then the outbound side, which is really the opportunity. And again, we'll take anybody's inbound, we'll help them with overflow and stuff like that. But where I think we can actually bring more value to a dealer is on that outbound initiative, because what happens is they don't always have that consistent cadence. There's a lot of limitations what AI can do because of compliance and regulatory, challenges. AI is still considered robocalling based on, FTPC requirements. On average, I'll just use our stats, right? So even if they were doing it internally with a service BDC, we schedule about 100 appointments a month, right? So let's say 30% churn on them, right? So 70 appointments a month, we're going to give them 600 new customers a year. And if you have this consistent follow up, these consistent cadences with your active, your at risk, your inactive, your declined services, your scheduled maintenance customers, whatever the different campaigns that you're running are, then year 2, it's going to be 1,000 customers. Year 3, it's going to be 1,400 customers. And that's when you start solving what this challenge is of the market share that they have going down and down and down, right? That's where I think the fix is.
So Kelley, seems like we're both in agreement. There's all these deficiencies on the variable side and on the fixed side. BDC is like Robitussin, in my opinion. You ever watch like Chris Rock and you get your eyebrow itches, Robitussin. You got the gout, Robitussin. Your back hurts, Robitussin. I'm kidding, right? But again, to me, a properly built and engineered and staffed and running business development center can solve a tremendous amount of problems, because trained BDC agents and BDC managers are able to proactively, without exception, without fail, relentlessly find opportunities and convert from engagement to appointment show to sale, etc. The problem, and when reality kicks in, is okay, if you are not a BDC architect with real BDC experience, this is not going to be easy. And you can't just go to Google or Chat GPT and think, how do I do a BDC? If it would be that easy, everybody have a BDC that's working. It's not that easy. So that's the first reality. The second thing is, okay, if I have the model, there's different elements of this. It's not just the people. You have to have a CRM. It's got to be set up with the right activities, the right, tasks, the right automation. Nowadays, AI is really important. So you should have an AI to increase the engagements, whether it's conversational AI, it's email AI, text message AI, generative video AI. But then if you have CRM automation, you need to make sure, and you have AI, that they're not conflicting or being redundant or spamming the prospect and creating a crappy user experience. That takes a real architect that could not only build the holistic vision, but the pieces to make them fit interdependently, synergistically together. It's a lot of words, but it means if you ain't built like this, stop trying to pretend that you are. Like, I'm not a chef, so I don't try to turn around and souffle stuff. That's not my thing. I'm not an artist. I'm not going to Rome to the Sistine Chapel with a crayon. You know what I mean? And look at what I just said. That's what people are doing. They're building BDC. They don't know what they're doing. They're building Frankenstein. They're building things that are like morbidly not what it's supposed to look like, because they're too lazy or too cheap to turn around and invest in the right resources and the right people to help you put together. Look, I have a landscaper. I said this on my show many times. I've got acres and acres of property. I'm not going to go on a John Deere tractor and try to figure this out. I have a landscaper so they could go take care of my beautiful, compound, because I'm not qualified. And that's just my lawn. Can you imagine trying to wing it when we have a multi-million-dollar customer development center? So Kelley, tell us, why do you think certain people rather not have a BDC, or rather, crash and burn over and over BDC instead of outsourcing it? I don't understand that.
Well, I think like one thing that you just mentioned too, I think the perception is that it's cheaper to bring it in-house, which most times, like to your point, if you actually put a pencil to it, it's not. It's more expensive, right? And I will give them on this one. I do completely understand this concept. They like to have that direct communication to that person, right? If you find a good BDC, you're going to have that direct partnership and communication, I think, with that BDC that you're working with. And I think the other thing is, let's face it, these guys are busy as shit, if I can say that on here,
Yeah,
right? So
it's my
it's
show.
it's the thought of, I don't have time to do this. I want to make sure I'm making the right decision. I want to make sure that it fits within there. And I think, again, if you pick the right partner, um, it's a great solution. It's beneficial for the dealership as far as on the sales side, right? And I'm going to jump back here. I met with Urban Science about 2 weeks ago, and we went through some sales and service data. They basically take all that data from a lot of the OEMs and audit and look at like the different aspects of where there are gaps and profit leakages, right? And one of the things on the sales side, and I think you have touched on this with me before, is most dealers stop that follow-up process too soon, right? So let's just, and I'm making up numbers because I don't have it in front of me right now, but let's say they stop following up with a customer at day 37. And technically that customer buys somewhere at day 45, right? So there's a lot of missed opportunities because either there's not the oversight of the follow-up, there's not processes in place for the follow-up. And those are the things, like you said, that a BDC can manage and put in place those processes to not lose those to your competition or somewhere else. And then the same with the service side, right? On the service side, people are impatient now. Like, and with AI automation in general, we like instant gratification. So you can't wait 24 hours to call somebody back. They're going to go to one of those 12 independent stores in your market. And then the same is with, you have to have that consistency. So if I'm seeing dealers that are like, okay, we're going to do our recalls internally, we're going to follow up on these recalls. Oh, we're going to call our declined service customers, but it only happens for 60 days or 90 days or something like that, as opposed to having a consistent cadence. And again, you have multiple customers, we have multiple customers. So we've had that trial and error stage already that can say, this is a better offer. This is a better communication email. This is a better incentive for dealers that haven't been in 15 months to get them back in.
I'm going to say this, and I want to ask LA's opinion on this first, and then I'm going to kick it back to you. Here's what I feel for us, the clients that we have for outsourced BDC. The reason why people reach out to us is because they are struggling right now. They're not getting appointments to show up. They need more quality opportunities in the dealership. You can't sell a car to a lead. You can't, let me digress. You can't sell a car to a VDP, to an SRP or a review. And all these vendors out there are peddling VDPs, SRPs, click-throughs, and all this other crack. Well, that's great. But you know what I need as a car person? I need an up. I need an opportunity to do business. I need an unsold prospect. And I need somebody that's going to mine my leads or my data and be able to create for me an opportunity. I need them to get there. So the people that come to the Dealer Synergy Outsourced BDC that we've been doing for years and years now at a very high level all over the country with some of the largest dealer groups in the country is because they desperately need ups in the showroom and they need more sales. And for whatever reason, because they don't have the skills or the sophistication to create the holistic strategy, the operational model, the infrastructure, they're coming to us for the infrastructure. Then they're understanding, hey, this an outsourced BDC, at least for our company, for Dealer Synergy, I don't know yours, Kelley, it's not just bodies. I'm not just slinging, bodies for appointments. Part of what we do is help them with the CRM, because my outsourced BDC staff needs to have the right CRM processes, the CRM activities, the CRM tasks, the proper automation, automated emails, automated text messaging, automated AI. So we're helping them with all that stuff. They're using our proven processes. And then we're doing management and TO. So LA, can you kind of share with Kelley and our audience how we're doing? So we already know why people are coming to us, but what is the value that they get? And the stuff that you're doing today, LA was doing TOs all day today, making tons of appointments. So explain how this works, LA.
Yeah, man. It's just we have a lot of fun. First of all, that's one of the things that I enjoy. I love being in the dealership, working with the agents, and actually taking TOs and making stuff happen. Right?
Well,
That's the
tell me,
fun.
Jerry
Is
Hunt. Wait, wait,
organized
wait, 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 wait
chaos.
a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you were just at one of the world's largest independent dealerships, the Jerry Hunt Supercenter in North Carolina, that sells about 1,000 used cars, and you just lit up the appointments. Tell everybody about that, and then go into
Yeah, it was tremendous amount. It was a lot of fun. It was one of those things where we were just, I mean, again, if someone gets somebody on the phone and it doesn't sound like it's heading in the direction of an appointment, I'm like, hey, tapping on the shoulder, let me talk to him, right? If it does kind of sound like it's on track, I'll just tell him, hey, say this, go to this part, go to this and that part, right? And so then it was lots of appointments that got set. We actually have recordings of agents who have never been able to go through a 10-step process going through the 10-step process, right? And I'm just so proud of that happening. And then overcoming objections, right? That's one of the things that a lot of people they're just scared, right? Just don't know what to say. But because I do know what to say, I teach them by saying it, and then it breathes belief into them, because then they go, oh, wow, like I can actually say that LA said it and got an appointment. Maybe I could say it and get an appointment, when people believe in themselves. So that's a big part of what we were doing today, but we were doing it virtually, right? So I got a team of virtual agents where literally with the press of a button, I pop into like a virtual office with them, and I hear what's going on their call, and I can just tap right into the customer and start talking to them, right? It's one of the coolest things ever, man. And so we made a bunch of appointments, and it wasn't just me. We got 4 other managers that were literally doing the same thing. So it was great.
So what you're saying is, for us, dealers are hiring us to do outsourced BDC for internet sales, data mining, equity mining, whatever it might be. And so not only do we have the agents that are making all the dials and their engagement prospect and they're making appointments, but just like the showroom floor in a traditional dealership, we believe in 100% TO. Because Kelley, I'm sure you're going to agree, the hardest part of internet sales is just getting engagement or callback or conversation. So if our agents, the biggest value is all the outbound phone calls, emails, text messages, social media DMs. But once they got a live person, they have a strong road to the appointment process that they're going to secure appointments. But if they can't secure appointments, we don't go, oh, so sad. No, we real-time TO to our internal TO management team at Dealer Synergy for outsourced BDC. And we're slinging appointments like crazy. So now tell us how it is on the service side. How does that look for the outsourced BDC infrastructure? Who is your typical client? Why do they come to you? What problems are they trying to avoid? What reasons are they coming to an outsourced service BDC like Call Source? And how do you guys help, solve those problems or make their life easier?
Yep. So ours are simplistic, right? Connectivity is a problem or retention is a problem, right? So connectivity, it could be overall, they want us to take all their service appointment calls. They want their advisors to focus on that customer in front of them, status updates, upsell opportunities, maybe even decline services, right, with that customer in front of them. And then we can either do overflow on that, meaning like we're their backstop. So what their people can't get, it's going to flow to us. And we're going to make sure that every one of those customers are taken care of. We work with customers, we have AI. We work with customers that have a different AI. They don't use our AI. But again, if AI is only resolving 45 or 50% of the calls, who's going to resolve the rest of them, right? So those calls that AI doesn't resolve, those calls come to us. We take care of the customer. On the outbound side, a little bit different of a mindset, right? So maybe they have, whether it's an internal BDC or just an effective service advisors that they're able to manage and handle all the inbound calls, but their focus is improving their retention and growing their active customer base, right? So those are great conversations because we have huge flexibility. I would call us more boutique, right? So it's not like one size fits all and this is the campaigns you have to do. It can be based on OEM incentives. So you were talking about Toyota, right? So with Toyota, they have the TLE. So it's some of the factors in that are CSI surveys, right? So we can incorporate that into their outbound attempts. We can confirm satisfaction on that appointment, encourage and get commitments to send those surveys back that they're going to receive with a good score, right? We can do introduction, so being proactive in the front introductions to all the cars they sold the previous month, let them know why, it's important to service with the dealerships, the OEM branded parts, and then give them an idea of what to expect. We're going to call you in 4 months to schedule your first appointment. To the, I want to move my at risk, my inactive customers into a transactional customer. And all those helps with different manufacturers tiers as well as driving revenue and then that compounding growth. So I think it's dealers that are looking to um, shift that triangle from my active customers being the smallest at the funnel to making that more like an hourglass, right? So making it more balanced on putting more customers into their pipeline.
I got to tell you, that is, in my opinion, tremendously valuable to a dealer. If you can outsource what you are not the absolute supreme expert in being, and you can focus on what you are the supreme expert in being. Just think about that. Like, I have a dream, a Belizean dream, right? Because I'm Belizean, that, we could all, from the second we walk into the dealership to the second we leave, only focus on the things that we are the absolute best at and things that we're the most effective with, that we're most effective at. Can you imagine how much more successful people would do in day to day? The problem is that we don't. We do all this random stuff. Guys, I'm great at a lot of things, but there are way more things that I suck at that I'm not good at. And usually I'm blessed enough that I hire people or surround myself with people that know things I don't know. And that's how I keep growing and keep getting more wealthy, because I focus on what I'm an expert in. And you know what dealers are usually really good at, unless there's a crazy broker problem, is selling cars. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that I say. And some dealerships need some desk management training or closing training at the tower. But that's probably the least phone calls that I get, even though we're great at that too. But the most that I see dealers need is they need more quality traffic. They need more people to handle all of their internet leads, their phone calls. They need that support. And Kelley said something I want to really emphasize. AI is AI, but you know what you don't see and you're not going to see is magic fake AI that's going to supposedly call customers, have a conversation, make appointments. Now, on the service side and on the sales side, if somebody calls your dealership, so there is AI that exists. If somebody calls you, that it could possibly make a sales or service appointment. But there is no AI that's voice AI that calls a customer and talks to the customer and tries to sell them a sales appointment or a service appointment. That doesn't exist, because Kelley was talking about the FCC's TCPA, compliances for text messaging. There's rules of engagement. There's also those robo dialers and predictive dialers and preview dialers all have strict compliances. And so for now, way after NADA in the foreseeable future, there isn't going to be any magic AI that's going to replace your outbound phone calls. So you're either going to have to, do it in-house, or you're going to have to do it outsource. And my whole thing is I highly recommend you do it outsource. So Kelley, can you tell them where you're going to be at NADA and what awesome giveaways and things you're doing, for Call Source?
Yeah, so we're actually going to be in the dealer synergy booth with Sean. I mean, it does have a great partnership, right? He's focused on sales and we're focused on service, and a lot of times, there's a need in a dealership for both. So we've worked together for a long time. We have a great working relationship, and I respect, what you do and your team does, with the
Vice
sales.
versa.
And for giveaways, we actually have, me being from Kentucky, I'm a little bit of a bourbon fan. So we have some kind of hard to find bourbons that we're going to be giving away, 4 bottles actually. So we have happy hour from 1 to 4 o'clock on Wednesday and Thursday, I believe it is. And so at 1 and at 4, we're going to be giving away a bottle each. So 4 bottles total, and come by and chance to win and have a cocktail with us, have some conversation with us. And we're even willing to bounce ideas off us. And we're definitely here to help anybody that we can.
We're going to be in the West Hall at booth number 3315W. So again, if you folks are finding yourself, if these are the following ailments, I feel like Robitussin, right? If you are struggling on staffing, trying to find, service writers or, service BDC or sales consultants or BDC reps, if you tried, outsource sales BDCs before, outsource service BDCs, and they don't work, they're crazy, they're broken. If you're struggling with CRM or your time highway or your X-Time service scheduling software or your data equity mining tools, if you're tired of wasting money on recruiting, staffing, on Glassdoor, Indeed, and Hireology, and all these other companies that just don't work, if you're tired of being in resume hell, you're buried in resumes, you can't find good people, if you're tired of wasting time, you're tired of having your GSM or your GM or your dealer on your neck asking, where the hell are our sales, where are their appointments, then look, if you're going to NADA, stop by booth number 3315, talk to Dealer Synergy, talk to Call Source, and Kelley, we have a special guest. We have the guy that broke the Guinness Book of World Records, Mr. Cody Carter, who sold 1,799 cars last year. Okay, Ali Retta broke the record in 2017 at 1,582. 44 years earlier, Joe Girard, broke it at like 1,400 and whatever it was 44 years ago. But I only think that it's impressive that Cody is the current GOAT, the greatest of all time, at 1,799. So I don't know about you, Kelley, but I'm excited about you being there. I'm excited about being there. I'm excited about LA speaking, Tiana, Kalina, Griffin, the rest of your Call Source team, and the legendary, living legend, Cody Carter. So what do you want to say to everybody? Get your people to come see you, Kelley.
Yes, absolutely. Come out and talk to us. Like I said, we are not a one size fits all. So even if you have a problem, you're not sure how to fix it, we're happy to kind of strategize with you and let you know where we think we can help.
Oh my God, I'm a nerd. As soon as you said that, I just heard Vanilla Ice. Yo, you got a problem? Yo, I'll solve it. All right. On that note, Kelley, thank you so much for, being on the show, and I appreciate you. So everybody, this is SVB and the place to be. I'm rocking my girl, Kelley from Call Source. Come see us at NADA 3315W in the West Hall. West Side, I'm out.
Thanks, John.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode. If you liked it, you're gonna love Bradley On Demand. Bradley On Demand is the most advanced virtual training, tracking, testing, and certification platform. What does that mean? It's an online university. And if you like this information here, we have hundreds and hundreds of advanced videos, step by step, on how to help you sell more cars more often and more profitably, so sign up now.